So Benjamin Lay is this gentleman here. Now, he was born in Essex into a Quaker family, and he ran away to London, became a sailor, which led him to move to Barbados in 1718. He was radicalized by the brutal treatment of slaves during that period. He spent the rest of his life trying to end slavery. He was different, though. You can see why. He moved to Pennsylvania in 1731, where he began doing his work. Now, when he started, he went back to his church and straight. Oh, also, I obviously for a figure like this from this far back in history, there aren't a lot of images of him, so I had to use Chat GPT to AI to make the images, and I think that it came out pretty well. So anyway, he went back to his churches, and in the Quaker meetings, everybody got a chance to preach. Like that was just a feature of the faith. Well, Benjamin Lay would just get up on stage and start screaming at everybody, like, "You're evil! Let them slaves away! You should be ashamed of yourself! It says right here in the Bible, we're not supposed to do." And they would be very upset with him, but didn't know how to argue against him because he was that clean. So then he decided, because they weren't listening, to kick it up a notch. He went into the church with red pokeberry juice and would just start throwing it on them to say, "You got blood on your hands, you got blood on your faces, you got blood on your body, let these slaves go, should be ashamed of yourself." And they would freak out. And eventually they banned him from the church. Like that wouldn't appropriate anymore. But Ben didn't care. So he started going outside the churches with like no shoes, no socks on, just standing in the snow. And in Pennsylvania, you know how cold it gets. And eventually, as people were coming in and out of meetings, somebody would come up to him and say, like, "Ben, what do you need? What's wrong? Like, why are you standing out in the cold?" He said, "Well, you don't act like you care about people standing in the cold. You got 3 people behind your house right now standing in the cold, never had shoes."
Ooh.
Like he would just keep it going. Then
Ooh.
he got so frustrated, he would just walk around the town throwing Bibles at people, beating them in the head, and say, "You need to read this clearly, bang, because you do not know that oh my God, our God does not stand for this slavery thing, bang, bang, bang." And people would eventually run away from him. Like he was just a terrorist. In fact, now this is the illest part of the entire thing. One time, he kidnapped a family's child, just straight took him for a weekend. Now, nothing, he treated the child well, everything was cool, but he brought the child back and then lectured the parents for a couple hours, saying, like, "You know how you felt when you couldn't find your child? That's how these African families feel all the time, and you're participating in it. I hope you learned your lesson. Kidnapping children is not sharp." Now, now I'm telling you, it's some by, right? Now, eventually, Ben, within 25 years of his death, the Quaker Church's official policy on slavery just straight up changed. They became an an anti-slavery institution, at least partly because of Ben Lay. And please don't forget, that whole time he was 4 feet tall.
Here's the challenge, Tay. Everything I just said about how we sit back and allow things to happen, I think that story that fits right in perfectly. A 4-foot man pushing that hard, and we're afraid about losing what we think we have: a house, a job. And the very people who sacrifice for us to even have a house, a job, hey, they took risk.
Actually, I got one more detail about him I couldn't figure out how to fit in. Just because you mentioned house. This man eventually, at the end of his life, became so just dissatisfied with having to live around people that were supportive of slavery. He went out into the woods, found a cave, lived in there for like 25 years, just so he didn't have to wake up. Yeah, he stood on business just so he didn't have to wake up and like, "Oh yeah, I'm next to them people again." No, I don't need that on my spirit. I'm gonna go into town later and yell at them and throw Bibles at them, but I'm not trying to sleep next to them at all. Benjamin Lay is the illest.